Okay, thank you all for being here. We are recording our Google Meet at 6:07. I am Weston Fellows. I am one of the aviation teachers at Hereford High School. This year I'm teaching grades 10, 11, and 12. With us we have Miss Kane. Is your mic working? Gotcha. She is teaching grade 9 this year, aviation. So I'm going to share my screen and I will show you what we have. All right, so last year we had a meeting towards the end of the year which precipitated the advent of this handy dandy chart. So essentially what I want to do today is just go through this chart. I should have sent this to you through talking points, and I think your students have some as well. So really what this does is this breaks down by age is really what depends on where you fall within this chart, each track. So unmanned aircraft, are any of you guys in here doing unmanned aircraft, or should I just focus on private pilot?
I'm unmanned aircraft.
Okay, so we'll go through unmanned aircraft. This one does not matter as much for the age as the private pilot, but we are through. Aiden, you are in grade 11. Okay, cool. So somebody outside Baltimore County Schools joined. So it is working. Awesome. So if you are in grade 9 and you will turn 17 by the start of your fall semester junior year, this would be the track that you are on. So you would take grade 9, Principles of Aviation, grade 10, Experiential Aviation Honors. You could obtain a medical certificate here. Grade 11, and this is where you are, Aiden. You could begin taking AVMT 131 at CCBC. Next spring, you could take this class. Senior year, this class. Senior year, you would take the capstone, this class. And then each row here is just going to depend on age, when you turn 17, and there's just all these different variations. So instead of me going through each row, I can send these out again through talking points if you want. If it's better to message me, I can send you a copy through Schoology, whichever way that is easiest for you to do it. Really what you want to know is this link down here at CCBC. Ms. Kane and I, as Hereford High School teachers, have nothing to do with your CCBC registration. So what we're trying to do is provide you with a way that you can access these CCBC courses in a way that they're going to align with the curriculum that we have at Hereford High School. Yes, Grady.
Can you hear me?
You're going to have to fix your mic.
Yeah.
Is it working? Yeah.
Yeah.
Will this be like posted in Schoology? Or could you
I can
post it like
I can send it out to you guys in Schoology. I can give you another paper copy as well. So after this meeting, I'll just send this out through Schoology, and then you'll have that to look at. Your parents should have a copy. I wonder if I can attach this, because everybody's on a computer. Let me see if I can attach this in. chat. I don't think I can post an attachment in Google Meet. So I'll send it out for that, and then you can look at it. Did people get this through talking points, parents?
Yes.
Okay, good. So the big thing here is information for obtaining the medical certificate. This is a resource for you on how you do that. And then the CCBC Aviation Technology webpage. Switch to and this is that link on the document. This is what you're going to need to spend a bunch of time going through, because this is how you get to registration for CCBC. If you're new, you're going to just click through. Here's the flight training guide, registration instructions for how to go through and register. They also have these different degree areas. So air traffic controller, I'm sure that's right on the top of everybody's list. To get paid half the time as you work one of the most stressful jobs. Aircraft dispatch section, flight operations management, professional pilot, airplane. This is the one that the majority of my juniors and seniors are probably going to go into. 10th graders is about 50-50, I think, between that. They have helicopter pilot, core sequence, and the unmanned aircraft sequence that a couple of you are going through. So since we're talking unmanned aircraft, if you click on that, it'll take you how you apply, go through the details. It's pretty in-depth. The one thing I am going to say, and let me just, Roscoe, are you here? He is the aviation director for CCBC. Let me just make sure he is not here. Roscoe, give me a hello if you are here. So he is not here. We had a student who's a senior this year go through this entire registration process, get into the class, and then not fully be allowed into the class. So she went through this entire process, had all of her I's dotted, T's crossed, and then something had happened with the registration. So just a word of advice, have all of your paperwork saved, documented, that you are registered, that you have paid, and all of those things when you go through this registration in case something happens. I think what happens is they give priority to people who have graduated high school, and since she is currently in high school, she maybe got bumped to the end of the line is sort of my only thought that could have happened, because her friend also got in and is in the actual class. So just be aware of that as you go through this registration. That can become problematic. Thank you to everybody who has joined. Sorry that there were issues getting in. Glad you have joined us now. I've just been talking through the unmanned aircraft systems. I can throw that up again for you. This chart you should have received through talking points. And I will also repost in Schoology. Miss Kane, who is the grade 9 teacher, is going to post in Schoology so that everybody has access to this. This came up last year as we walked through this and discussed what would be helpful for people to have. Now, these classes may have slightly changed at CCBC. This is the same chart from last year. Josh, I think your mic is on. Thank you. But I believe this sequence is pretty much the same. So that would be a question for Roscoe from CCBC. But this down here is going to have contact information and all of that stuff. Questions about the unmanned aircraft before we move on to private pilot?
I have a question. Do you know, so these classes, that it looked like when you pulled it up, it was in person at CCBC. Is this just could be at any time of the day or week, or is it like, are these specific for, you know, to help with high school enrollment, or, you know what I'm saying, scheduling?
So these are entirely independent of high school.
Okay.
So these have no bearing on your high school credit or anything like that. I believe, and this is why it's helpful to have CCBC here, but he wasn't able to be here. This 131, I believe, and 161 and 162 are online asynchronous classes.
Okay.
I think they offer most of them except for the practicum for the pilots asynchronously or online. So we have a couple of students who are just doing their online classes, and they do it at home after the school day. The other thing that we try to do this year is we scheduled the grade 12 class first period. So what happens is, and this is really important for the 9th graders who joined and any of the 10th graders who joined, as you are making your schedule for next year and for junior year and for senior year, get your credits out of the way. Make sure you have all of your required credits, because what happens as you do your registration for 12th grade, if you only need English 12, math 12, and then maybe another half credit class, you can do early release on one or both days, and then you can go take your CCBC class in the afternoon. You can go and you can do your flight time in the afternoon as needed. So it really opens up that afternoon for us to schedule these classes for grade 12 in the morning. And it's the same thing, grade 11 actually is in your classes first period, right? Yes, so we schedule both 11 and 12 in the morning. So if students are in grade 11 and somehow they have early release and can leave, then they will be able to attend one of those CCBC classes. But I believe that at least the intro ones are asynchronous online, and that's for both aviation, unmanned aircraft, and private pilot. Other questions?
I have a question. So Josh is in a unique position because he turns 17 on the actual start date for his CCBC next semester, well, next school year. So would he be able to still qualify as track 1, or would he be track 2 since his birthday is technically the first day of class?
That is a fantastic question. That is a CCBC question. I would believe that if that is his birthday, I would believe, you know, he is 17 by that date. But I don't know if they're going to say what time was he born. I have no idea for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do you have like an email of somebody who I could contact to ask?
Yes, it's right on that CCBC, whatever that contact information is on there. And the reason I didn't put an email on this is because it changed from last year, and I'm not 100% sure who is there now. But if you just request info on that CCBC page, there's a phone number, Roscoe is the guy who is director at this point.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, so we're going to go to private pilot. This is the one that really gets people. So these different tracks here, this is the one you have to be 17 in order to be in the class to fly the airplane. So if you are old, you can start your courses earlier. You would be on track 1. And then you would progress through. If you are younger, some people don't turn 17 until December of your senior year, which would be your track 4. This would be your sequence, and you're not really going to be able to start your sequence until grade 12. That's not to say that you can't take other CCBC classes. So what they're doing now currently is they'll pay for X number of credits per semester that are paid for by Baltimore County. And where that really becomes useful is if you can get to, I believe it is AVMT 231 and 232, where you are actually going out and training with a flight instructor and flying at Martin State Airport or Carroll County. That the lab fees for those classes last year were like $12,000. I would imagine that has also increased. So what people want to do is use those classes that are paid for by Baltimore County for the expensive lab classes when you're flying airplanes, not for English 101 or AVMT 131, that's an online class. This is not a Hereford High School rule. This is not a CCBC rule. This is the flight school that they use to fly the airplanes. So it's the same exact thing as when you turn 16. That is when you can get your driver's license. You can't make a case that, oh, I'm 15 and a half and I'm a responsible young student. I'm going to start driving 6 months earlier than everyone else. They want you to be 17 by the time that you start the class. I did see a question pop up in the chat. Celeste, I believe they are just spring and fall semester. So 131 might be like a winter class. There might be certain ones that are online for the other sessions, but the ones where you're actually flying, those are longer blocks of time. We had a student last year who was in the spring session, and she got rained out. She got like weathered out. It was super windy a bunch of days, and really struggled to find the amount of flight time that she needed. So they want you to have as much time as possible for those classes to get your X number of hours in to fly the airplanes. And then there's sort of a grace period after the semester ends. They have 2 or 3 weeks to make up any more flight time that they need to get credit for the class. Other questions? The other thing to note on the bottom here is that you have to meet CCR status to take the courses at CCBC. CCR status is college career ready. That is I believe you have to have your English credit, and then you have to have your, I think it's tech ed credit completed as well. So it's important as you are registering for your courses this year, 9th graders and 10th graders, make sure that you're asking your counselor, hey, I need to get my classes to get my CCR status so that I can be eligible to take these courses at CCBC. Because if you're in track 4 and you're not going to be able to start flying or even start this until grade 12, you can take English 11 at CCBC, take another required course at Hereford High School with that open slot, and then that will give you more time this senior year to go take one of the other classes at CCBC or go make sure that you have time to actually fly. I know that in English classes last week, the week before Thanksgiving, counselors came into grade 11 and they went through and students did a little checklist on the classes that they had taken. And the majority of those students really only needed 2 or 3 classes their senior year. It was actually Miss Kovac. She's the career counselor. Kristen, at Hereford High School, and she works with CCBC. So she's another great resource. Tonight there is a 8th grade parent night at the high school, so I think that's where she is right now. But send her a message through Schoology, send her a message through email, and she can definitely help you navigate registering for these classes at CCBC. So she's a great resource for that. Questions? Yes, go ahead, Corey, just shout them out.
Yeah, is the idea that they take like one of the CCBC English classes over the summer of their before their junior year?
So that would be entirely up to you. I don't know exactly how the payment for that works. I don't know if you're paying out of pocket. I don't know if those courses are even offered during the summer. Mrs. Kovac could probably tell you, you could look at CCBC and see what is offered there. But that's just another way to sort of open up your schedule, even to be able to take some of the aviation classes, because what's happened a few times is as students move on sophomore, junior, senior year, a couple kids want to take some ag classes, plus they want to continue on with their aviation completer. And there's just not space in the schedule to take all the classes that you want. So they may have to take the half credit health class and the health half credit PFET, which is a senior class. And if they don't have space for ag, or we've lost some of the females because they want to go into the dance program, a lot of the digital arts students sometimes overlap as well, then you just opened up and you could say, oh, I'm going to take my ag mechanics class and I'm going to take the aviation class. I want to be an aviation mechanic. I'm going to get both of those, and I have space in my schedule in order to take those. Because if you are going through this sequence, you have to take all 4 classes in order to get the aviation completer. And there's also something that recently came out. There is a CCBC in Pennsylvania that will give you, I think it's like 6 or 7 credits for the AOPA curriculum if you've gone through and completed all 4 years of the AOPA curriculum, they will straight up give you maybe AVMT 131 or 132 plus maybe 133, whereas the CCBC in Maryland here gives you 101 and 131. So this is the other thing I don't think that I mentioned. Either one of these, you finish all 4 years with your B or C, B average, C higher in each of these courses. You will get credit through AVMT 101 and AVMT 131. That's really all I have for the presentation. If you have questions later, go ahead, by all means, send me an email. That's the best way to reach me. Miss Kane can throw hers. I think she's just skane@bcps.org. Sometimes they put weird numbers on there. But Miss Kovac, yep, Miss Kovac at the high school is also a great resource, sort of liaison with CCBC. But you're really going to have to go through their registration process in order to start taking these classes. And I would start that early. Like my juniors in here, if you are looking at taking something in the spring, start looking at this now. Start your registration process. Start getting all the documentation that you need, because it can be long, it can be convoluted. I believe they actually want you to meet one-on-one with them to go over the process. So it's not like, oh, I'm just going to send in my resume and my high school credits, and then you're in the CCBC. Michelle, did you have a question?
Yeah, I remember when I don't know if it was when we were learning about this program when Aiden was going into 9th grade or starting out, and we did the tour of like the high school, and we came into your room, and you did a presentation at that time talking about tracks after high school. You talked about a couple different colleges. I know you mentioned CCBC being one that has, like, he's more interested in the unmanned aircraft and like aeronautical engineering type stuff. Is there a way I can get more information about just advice and information about post high school options for continuing education in this area?
Yeah, I would start with guidance. I do know CCBC does have, I mean, that would be my advice. Take advantage of these free SUAS classes. Take AVM 131, because a lot of these same basic ones are the same requirements for private pilot and the unmanned. It's the same thing in grade 11 right now. I have both private pilot and the unmanned students in the same class. This semester, it's the exact same information. We're going to start getting into airspace. We're going to start reading the sectional charts. We're going to start getting into radio communication, because what they want you doing is, if you are commercially flying a drone, you need to be aware of airspace restrictions so you're not flying drones into aircraft. So the first few courses that are listed on this unmanned aircraft chart, they will probably transfer to, even if you decide to go to another program at a 4-year school. I will say that CCBC does certainly tout their how cost effective their program is, and that's on their website here. I'm trying to pull that up for you. They have some information here on like the amount that they save. Their program is, you know, a 2-year program that costs $30,000 versus a 4-year program that's $120,000. And then last year they were articulated with University of Maryland Eastern Shore for the private pilot programs. So students would go through, get some of their basic aviation classes out of the way at CCBC for $20,000, and then they would go transfer to University of Maryland Eastern Shore, which has a good aviation program. And then they would be flight instructors there. They would start making some money on the side, being flight instructors while also taking classes at University of Maryland Eastern Shore to get their commercial licenses. So, I'm sort of pointing you to CCBC again. They'll be able to tell you who they articulate with. And then you can certainly just figure out where are some good 4-year schools that you're going to go. Aiden, did you go to that thing in Hagerstown, the field trip in Hagerstown?
PIA.
I didn't go to the field trip.
Okay.
I've been to PIA though.
So what the field trip was they had a lot of different schools there as representatives for these different programs. But if you know what you want to do, spend your time on Google. Find these schools, figure out what's going on. Talk to Ms. Kovac. She definitely knows. Like, that's what she does. She looks at these schools all day and figures out what programs they have and where they go. So she can tell you that. I do have a bunch of flyers too in my room for different colleges you can kind of look at that I've picked up over the time. They don't really tell you much. They have pictures of their cool building up there, but you can see at least what programs they have. So that would be a place to start looking.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, Health 910, Health 1112. Yeah, that's a guidance question.
You'd mentioned the BCPS paying for the individual classes. Is that for each class in the track per semester, or is there a cap for it? And
so I believe it is Baltimore County, not Baltimore County Public Schools. When this first started, they paid for everything. Take as many classes as you want. They paid for the entire thing. It would continue on once you graduated. That has since gone away. So we're not going to pay for all those classes. But what it was last year was 2 credits or 2 classes per semester while you are enrolled in the high school. So that's what people were sort of like, oh my God, my little Johnny's not going to be 17 until senior year. He's not going to get the big expensive class paid for. Baltimore County says, sorry. So there's also like the Baltimore County Promise that I've heard about that has to deal with also, I think it's income based. So there's ways, if you are a Baltimore County resident, that you could get into CCBC. Again, that's way outside of my wheelhouse. That would be like a CCBC question to see how they're funding these different schools.
for Baltimore County, is it a reimbursement process, or is that part of the application process? Or
I could not tell you. That's again a question for them. I think I'm 75% sure that it is not a reimbursement, that you're registered and you are CCR and they will just cover the cost. I don't think you have to put any money out of pocket. And Ms. Kane mentioned that Alexis Zahn is going to be coming in after winter break. I'll have her talk to my classes. She went through this process last year. We also have a number of students who are signing up. I don't know if they're still in here now or are currently taking classes at CCBC, who can speak to that process as well. But I'll make sure Alexis talks to my classes and Miss Kane. She's going to be working with Miss Kane as well, so she can probably take some time to speak with her classes too. They are entirely independent of high school transcripts, Celeste, to my knowledge. Grady.
It depends on the class that you take. These aviation classes aren't, but there are dual enrollment classes that do count towards school GPA.
Yes.
There's a list of them. You can ask Ms. Kovac for it. But they count. They take up one of your schedule, like one of your credits for high school.
Thanks. So this is the right off of the CCBC for this drone one. So you could, if you're not 17 and you know that you want to definitely take one of these, you could take one of your credits that everybody has to, your gen eds, and get those out of the way. So once you graduate high school or CCR ready, then you can take the program requirements as well. And there's a phone number. Trying to see if I can find the contact information for Roscoe. That's generic. And there's tours here as well.
On the website, he's the person in the image. But if you need to look for him specifically, you can look at the staff directories.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to find. I have his email buried someplace.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
I would just email this, aviation@ccbc.edu.
I have it.
This is, oh, here it is. It's right in front of me. Roscoe Law. There you go.
So it's dlaw@ccbcmd.edu.
He's the guy you want to talk to. Questions? That's all I have on the agenda. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.